Hello friends, this is the Medium's Harvest, day 22. And we are here to study especially about the development of mediums. Yeah, that's the main topic of tonight. And we are here also at Kardec Radio Audio, in the app, and you can listen to us as well there. Keep an eye on it for us. And Chapter 22 is titled Much Desire, and we concluded much desire to be a medium. And Emmanuel writes a dissertation teaching us also how to study Kardec's books, especially the Medium's book, on the Medium's book, right here, chapter 17, item 220, sub-item 15. And he is going to write a dissertation based on the following. Kardec asked the following question to the mediums, to the spirits through the mediums at his time. Couldn't persons who have a great desire to write as mediums, but who do not manage it, reach negative conclusions about themselves with regards to the goodwill of the spirits towards them? Answer: no, because God could have refused to grant them the faculty, just as God could have refused them the gift of poetry or music. However, if they do not enjoy this faculty, they can enjoy others. What is he talking about? This is an excerpt of the chapter 17 on the development of mediums. What are we talking about? Well, if you're coming in today, this book, The Medium's Harvest, in Portuguese, Seara dos Médiuns, was psychographed by the medium Chico Xavier. In 1860, the book was written, published in 1960. The book was written, The Medium's Harvest, and in Portuguese, published in 1961, in tribute to 100 years of the publishing of the Medium's book by Kardec. 47 years later, we're here tonight, bringing it about in English. Yes, thanks to a network of friends from the Inner Enlightenment Spiritist Society, to friends in the Spirit Side of Virginia, who are helping the translation of the 90 chapters. Tonight we're discussing chapter 22. Emmanuel then tells us about this topic we read quickly. We'll go back to it. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything yet. We're going to go back to it according to Emmanuel's dissertation. In that chapter 22, he talks about people who desire to be mediums. That desire. That was a meeting on March 18th, 1960, and Emmanuel wrote through Chico the following. Medium means intermediary. I'm reading from it. Intermediary defines the position of the one who places himself in between something. Many incarnate friends, aspiring to make contact with the superior spheres, keep saying that they feel a great desire to be mediums. There are innumerable such friends who propose to teach and to write, to speak and to materialize, to relieve and to console in the name of the messengers of light, although they do not get past the point of great desire. Let us imagine, however, some common scenes in which the person rests in this initial impulse. There is a farmer, there is a farmer who has a great desire to sow, but the farmer spends his time discussing agricultural theories, commenting about something that has to do with various diseases that plague the farm, and he waits indefinitely for the moment to plant, as if the land were to move itself to collect the seeds from his lands. Another case, we find the potter who shows great desire to create a sacred vessel, but he spends his time talking about the problems he has with ceramics and about the dangers of the hot oven, waiting in constant expectation for the right moment to model, as if it were up to the clay to rise and seek out his fingers. Then there is the worker who speaks of his great desire to collaborate in a certain workshop, but once allowed into it, he does nothing but to police the attitude and the gestures of his leaders and colleagues, as if he could do his own work through the inoperative observation of others at no one's request. If you aspire to collaborate in the work of the benevolent spirits and sages, placing yourself between them and your incarnate brothers, it is possible that you may not immediately be able to participate in the symphony of great human deeds. However, you can shine in the highest work of all by expressing yourself in the concert of pure good, consoling and building and clarifying, studying and loving. However, to do that, it's not enough to have great desire. It is necessary to revere service, seek service, compete for service, and embrace service with a spirit of renunciation in favor of others. Many say that they will do this tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually the glorious time of what is yet to come that we call the future, destined to celebrate the crowning and victory, the harvest and the joy. But according to the old saying, many times tomorrow is the road to the desert called never. Wow. Tomorrow is the road to the desert called never. Love it, love it, love it. It's not about, oh, I would love to, I would love to, I would love to. It could be even a song. Oh, I would love to, I would love to, I would love to, but I don't do anything. And you know, mediumship is something you don't desire. Why? Because it's serious, it's grave. We don't desire to see spirits and to talk to spirits, because it can be very complicated if we're not committed to it, because you're not medium by pushing a button. There's no mediumship like, you push a button, now you're medium. You push it off. You're not a medium. If you're a medium 24/7. And to be a medium 24/7 is no piece of cake. It's not a walk in the park. We wish. Oh, I wish I could see spirits. No, you don't. Not on earth. You think the majority of spirits that are wandering around are harmonized? Beautiful? No. According to the books that have been written throughout times, the wandering spirits, majority of them, are troubled, troubling, and in need of help. Never forget when I was once visiting Lilydale, the Lilydale Assembly, upstate New York, our friends, the spiritualist friends were there. And this city, people are spiritualists and they believe in spirits, they talk about spirits, they have mediums, so it's easy. So it's a city that is easy to be a discarnate spirit and an incarnate spirit, because you are more than a physical body, but you are. It's a fascinating city. So once I was there, it was my first time, second time there. And I remember, clear cut, I was going to sleep in a hotel inside the city, the historic hotel there. And you know, you're not afraid. I mean, you are what you are and you sleep there. And then I was by myself. And I remember, I went to sleep. Suddenly I saw this line of spirits. Line in the hallway. Waiting to talk. Because they know, when they see a medium, spirits know, the discarnate spirits know who is a medium, who is not. No kidding. Even Hollywood already portrays this reality. The movie Sixth Sense, the other movie about a dentist that starts seeing. So the spirits know who sees them, who talks to them, etc. And they come, of course. It's like you need to deliver a letter. You see the mail person, like you run after them. Come here, I need you. Can you please take this letter for me? So the first one I see in the line, I'll never forget, a little girl, probably about like 6 to 8 years old. And she had an X on her chest. Quite dramatic. And she was like, I need help. There's this X on my chest. And I was not scared being a medium. But I was like, what do I do? Asking the mentor, what do I do now? And he said, pray and ask them to follow the spirit doctors, because they are here to help. So keep praying. And I started praying, and there was a man who was very tall behind her and many others. And I said, you know, there are spirit doctors. Watch. They are here. And the story goes on and on, okay? But to cut it short, it's common, but it's not beautiful. We're going to see most often than not spirits who are in need of help. So it's hard. So when people say, I want to be a medium, think about it twice. If you want to be a medium, what for? What's the point? You want to help people? Great way of helping people. Help the incarnates, and helping the discarnates is going to be second nature. Second nature. If we can't help those whom we see, we won't be able to help those we cannot see. Even if we are mediums and can see them, the reality is going to be the same. Right, Emmanuel? He's saying we can help them, the troubled spirits, by including them in our prayers to be forgiven. Exactly. Like us. So he says, first part of the message, Emmanuel comes to us and says, medium is an intermediary. And there are many people who have this great desire. If we go to the book Between Heaven and Earth, there's a beautiful passage at the very beginning about Spirit Clarence or Clarencio. It's a book by André Luiz through Chico Xavier, Between Heaven and Earth, in which he talks about prayer, and the prayer that comes with fervor, that comes with great desire to receive. It's a magnet, the most powerful magnet. So when we desire something, it's like a prayer. It's like a prayer. Question for us, what do we desire? Because André Luiz is going to talk about desire in several books. including the book Action and Reaction, when he talks about this inner theme that we carry, this inner desire that becomes a magnet attracting situations in our lives. So we're going to attract what we emit, says Andre Lewis in another book, Mechanisms of Mediumship, not published yet in English. And he is talking about the law of the mental field. Our mental field, I emit, I attract. So I'm going to attract what I'm emitting. I'm going to attract what I am emitting. Electrical, magnetic, mental, electromagnetic force. That's what thought is all about. So he says, we need to go past the point of great desire. No, but I want to be a medium. But I'm planning like the farmer, and I don't actually do it. Like the potter, wanna do it, but doesn't get to do it. So he says, if you aspire, so if you and I aspire, that's a beautiful word. It's like we are going above ourselves to work with the benevolent spirits and the sages, like mediums. If we want to work as mediums, it is possible that we're not going to do great things, but we can help by doing what? Consoling, building, supporting, clarifying, studying, and loving. So it's not enough to have great desire. Now, the key word, service. He says, it is necessary to revere. What is to revere? To revere is to pay reverence to service. Pause. Do we feel honored when we're serving, or we feel we're doing a favor? Why do people fail? Because they think they are working for the horizontal community. No, we are working for God, to God, through God, within God. And God shares with it all. You and I, so he says, revere service means feel honored to serve. But I'm not working for the president of the center. I'm not working for somebody that Divaldo Franco, I'm doing translations for your book, so I'm working for you. No. The work is with God, for God, because Divaldo Franco works for God and to God and with God and through God. That's why when we work with him, he's never gonna give us red carpet. Why? Because it's not employment. Service is not employment. You may be employed and not be serving. You may be serving and not be employed. If we are employed and not serving, we're in trouble. If we're serving, whether employed or not, we're marching towards credit, surplus. So I need to serve. Service. He says, it is necessary to honor, pay reverence to service, seek service. I don't know what to do. Well, it's our task. Find how. How can I help? Compete for service. This is fascinating. he doesn't say we should compete in the sense of displacing people from their positions. Compete in the sense like, let's say we've got to know figuratively there is a hurricane somewhere, and I've got to know that group A of church X or a company X is donating 100 blankets. Our company is going to say, we're going to match 200. That's competing for service. Figuratively, okay? But that's what we're talking about. We're not going to do any harm, but people do one, we're going to be inspired and say, I'm going to give 10. Not to be better, but just be inspired. I'm going to do more. They gave 5, I'm going to do 20. Not the brutal competition, but that competition in the sense of like motivation to do the good. And he says, embrace service with a spirit of renunciation in favor of others. But people don't know me. Great. I'm going to keep serving. Embrace service. Embrace service. Is it hard? Friends, sometimes we have a feeling that we talk about things, it gets into our head, but it doesn't enter. It doesn't enter. Why? Why? Mentor Joseph was explaining to us, because we're not open. Sometimes we read books and we say, oh, these books are the same. If that's the conclusion, it's a sign we're not open to the new. We only see the same. It's like somebody who has a little tiny thing, a speck in their eyes, and everything they see is a speck. Oh, there are specks everywhere. No, the speck is in your eyes. Observe besides the speck. You're going to see many other things. The trick is to find something new in the old. It's a sign that we're progressing. You know that feeling? I never thought about this. Oh, I read this book, but now I'm seeing something I didn't see. So it takes humility, 1. It takes openness, 2. And the renunciation of the ego. To really be able to embrace, as Emmanuel says, the new opportunity to serve, to be useful. But not in the way that I want. Useful in the way people need. There's a big abyss of difference. One thing, oh, I want to give them cars. But they don't need cars. What do they need? Food. If you go now to Africa, for example, and give a car to people who are living in the remotest locations, they don't even know there is no gas station in the area. They don't know how to drive. They don't need to drive because they live there locally. I'm just saying figuratively, okay? Angelita knows better than me. But they don't need. What do they need? They need food. So instead of take the money of that car, give to Fraternity Without Borders, Fraternity Without Borders is going to give them school, medication, clothes, food, shelter. And then one day, if you have cars, you can donate cars. But now, nobody needs cars there. So to serve is to fit in. Being useful, fit in into the need of others. What do people need? So that's why he says, embrace service with the spirit of renunciation in favor of others. Rihanna is saying, if someone wishes to be a medium, he can serve them through thoughts, learning. We are, emitting mental thoughts in the universe and the spirit, into spirits always, and so we can help with every thought. Beautiful, Rihanna. And Rihanna is reminding us about the law of the mental field. There's no problem if you want to be a medium. But we need to ask ourselves, do I want to be a medium because I feel it's coming about? Or is just because, so we need to investigate to know more of ourselves. Do you remember when we saw in the Spirit's book by Kardec, this question that Kardec asked? It's about self-knowledge. That's the subsection, self-knowledge. And he asks, what can we do to avoid the draw of evil and, expedite our progress? The answer are the spirits, self-knowledge. So why do we want to be a medium? What's the big deal about mediumship? And then people are going to say, well, because then there is some form of power. Yeah. So we have to be very careful. Very careful. Very careful. If we are exerting some form of power over our society, our community, our family, because we're mediums, we need to be careful. Because good spirits don't impose themselves. So if the medium is with the hidden agenda of exerting some form of power over the community, etc., in the long run, that's not going to be beautiful. Because the types of good spirits that are supposed to come, they're not going to come. They withdraw. Remember, the good spirits condition to be willing to do the good. Only. Do the good, do the good, do the good, do the good. And he says, many say that they will do this service tomorrow. And he says, tomorrow is the road to the desert called Never. I don't want to be in this Neverland. Only Peter Pan. And I am not Tinkerbell, Peter Pan to be Neverland. We want to be in today's land, which is the present, making it pleasant and living an everlasting present. Right, friends? Let's say hi to the community before we wrap up this beautiful chapter. Investigating more about ourselves, right, Rihanna? Thank you for being with us and for the studies you're doing. Lívia Moraes, how are you? Teresa Catapano. Constance Franklin, how are you? Karina Alice, how are you? Bianca Braga, how are you? Andrea Torres, how are you? Katia, how are you? Ceisa, how are you? Angel Marie, how are you? Pérola Bronze, how are you? Ceisa, beautiful Ceisa. Sol Souza, how are you? Mirli Vasquez, how are you? Rinca Pi, Lisa Tele, Julija, how are you? Teresa Castro, Rita Araújo, hello friends. Maria Silva, how are you? Patrícia, beautiful Patrícia, how are you? Adilson. And John the Rosa, how are you? Angelita, how are you, Angelita? Auri Alves, how are you? Emmanuel de Son, Marisa de Melo, and Rudy. Want to stay awake in the present? Me too. Desire. Desire is good if it's channeled to the right, and if it we don't stop there. As Emmanuel says, if we go beyond it. To do what? Embrace service. What else? Seek service. Have reverence for service. Believe it or not, friends, Emmanuel is such an educator. He talks about desire, and the next chapter is about obsessors. That's the title. Tomorrow, God willing, we're going to come back. And the chapter is titled Obsessors. And Emmanuel is breaking down a dissertation inspired by item 249. Let me open to you 249 as a teaser, so we keep working on it. 249 of the Medium's book is on chapter 23, which is about obsession, and it talks about this obsession, okay? That the means to combat obsession vary, and it's one of the longest items we have studied this far. And what does he want to tell us for the practice of mediumship? What should we know about obsession and obsessors? Teaser, Emmanuel says, obsessor, as correctly defined, means the one who disturbs. Moreover, the one who disturbs is almost always someone with whom we have been deeply involved. Blah, blah, blah. It's a teaser. I'm not going to give it all. And he says what to do regarding this obsession. So this chapter 23 ties into chapter 23 of the Medium's book as well. You think Emmanuel is... It's not by chance. Chapter 23 in the Medium's Harvest, matching messages in chapter 23 of the Medium's book. And he's talking about this obsession. Spirit release therapy, rescue work. Many different words for the same idea, same approach. Bottom line, address the obsessors. Positive words and thoughts whenever necessary. Do not deny your patience, your work, your love, or sacrifice, because only the strength of a noble example can lift and rebuild before the sun of the future. Before the sun of the future. Evangelho do futuro. The sun of the future. You see how all the great spirits are tying the same idea together. What is the sun of the future? This obsessive approach. Come back tomorrow so we can learn more, empower ourselves, and live better lives, helping others as well. Shall we, friends? In the meantime, let's keep meditating, working on it, and observing our desire. What is it and why? What for? Big hug, and until tomorrow.